Imagine having two fathers. One says, "Money is the root of all evil." The other says, "The lack of money is the root of all evil." One spends his life working for money. The other learns how to make money work for him. One dies broke. The other dies wealthy, leaving behind a legacy. This is the real story of Robert Kiyosaki, a man raised by two dads with opposite mindsets about money, education, success, and life itself. In this audiobook summary, you'll uncover the 6 key lessons that changed Robert's life and could change yours. Because the truth is, schools won't teach you how to be rich. But this book will. So plug in. Focus up. Because what you're about to hear might just reprogram your financial destiny. Chapter 1. The rich don't work for money. Shift your mindset. Make money work for you. Let's rewind to when Robert Kiyosaki was just 9 years old. One day, he asked his rich dad how to become rich. Rich Dad looked at him, smiled, and said something unexpected. "If you want to be rich, you have to learn how to make money work for you." That answer confused Robert, because until then, he believed what his real dad, his poor dad, always said. Go to school, get good grades, and get a stable job. That's what most of us hear growing up. Study hard, get hired, get a paycheck, save, retire. But Rich Dad had a completely different mindset. Poor Dad was always chasing security, working harder, hoping for raises, saving pennies, and paying bills. Rich Dad taught that this is what he called the rat race. You earn, you spend. You work more to cover those expenses. And then you repeat. Most people never escape this loop because they never stop to question it. To teach Robert and his friend Mike a lesson, Rich Dad gave them a small job, working 3 hours on Saturdays for just 10 cents an hour. It was boring, repetitive, and frankly, it sucked. But Rich Dad didn't care about the job. He cared about what they would realize. Eventually, Robert got frustrated. He marched to Rich Dad and said, "This isn't fair. I'm working hard and getting almost nothing." That's when Rich Dad smiled and dropped a truth bomb. That anger you're feeling? That's how most people feel all their lives. They work hard, but they feel trapped. And they blame their boss, or the economy, or the government. But the real problem? They're working for money, instead of learning how money works. Rich Dad explained that most people are controlled by 2 emotions. Fear of being broke. Desire for comfort, security, and shiny things. So people take jobs out of fear, then work harder out of desire for more. They buy things they think will make them happy. A bigger house, a new car, and end up needing more money just to keep up. And so, they stay stuck. Rich Dad said, when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down. So if you want to be rich, you must learn to control your emotions, especially around money. Shift the question. Most people ask, how can I earn more money? But Rich Dad taught Robert to ask, how can I create income without working more hours? That's the mindset of an investor, not an employee. In a nutshell, don't just work for money. Use work to learn and observe. Pay attention to how money moves and who controls it. Escape the rat race by building assets that generate passive income. And, most importantly, start thinking like the rich. They don't work harder. They work smarter. And they make money their employee. So, what if you stopped thinking like everyone else? What if you stopped working for money and made money start working for you? In the next chapter, we'll uncover the real reason the rich get richer and why most schools will never teach you how to be wealthy. It's time to learn financial literacy, the language of the rich. Let's move to Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Why teach financial literacy? It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Let's start with a surprising truth. You can earn a lot of money and still be broke. And you can earn a modest income and become rich. Confused? That's why financial literacy is so important. In this chapter, Robert Kiyosaki tells us what his rich dad taught him early in life. If you want to be rich, you need to be financially smart, not just academically smart. Because schools teach reading, writing, math, but they don't teach the most important subject: how to manage, grow, and protect your money. The big mistake most people make. Let's say you get a job. Your income goes up. What's the first thing most people do? They buy a better phone, a bigger TV, maybe a car they can't really afford. That's where the trap begins. They're not building wealth. They're building expenses. They're collecting liabilities, thinking they're assets. Assets versus liabilities, the game changer. Here's the golden rule from Rich Dad. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. Let's break it down. Asset liability. Rental property that gives you monthly income. A personal home with a mortgage and maintenance costs. Stocks that pay dividends. Credit card debt. Intellectual property like books, music, patents. A fancy car that loses value. Most people confuse their house or car as assets, but if it's costing you every month, it's not building wealth, it's draining it. Your financial statement, Ross, your reality. Poor dad focused on income statements, how much you earn. Rich dad focused on the balance sheet, what you own, assets, and owe, liabilities. Want to become rich? Focus on increasing your asset column, even if your job income stays the same. What happens without financial literacy? Without financial education, even lottery winners go broke. Even celebrities file for bankruptcy. Because more money doesn't solve poor money habits. Robert says, money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. Think of money like water. Without a container, it slips through your fingers. Rich Dad's advice to Robert. When Robert asked what to do with his money, Rich Dad told him, don't spend it. Use it to buy assets. Let those assets generate more income. Then buy more assets. That's how wealth grows, not by working harder. In a nutshell, learn the difference between assets and liabilities. This is your financial foundation. Keep expenses low, build assets first, and let assets pay for luxuries later. Earning more money isn't enough. Keeping and multiplying it is the real game. Most people work for money their whole lives, but the rich let assets work for them. The good news? You can start with almost nothing, just a shift in mindset and a little knowledge. Coming up next, we'll learn how the rich build wealth quietly, by minding their own business, literally. Chapter 3 is where the real strategy begins. Chapter 3. Mind your own business. Focus on building assets, not just your boss's company. Let's begin with a simple question. When you go to work every day, are you building your own future or someone else's? That's the exact question Rich Dad asked young Robert. And the answer changed everything. Poor Dad's approach. Robert's real dad, who is Poor Dad, believed in working hard for a company. Climb the corporate ladder, get promoted, retire with a pension. He was proud of his government job, his degrees, and his reputation. But over the years, he worked harder, earned more, but also spent more. His debts increased. His stress grew. His paycheck always vanished. And in the end, he had no financial freedom, just a lifetime of effort. Rich Dad's approach. Rich Dad told Robert, the moment you go to work for someone else, you're building their business, not your own. That doesn't mean don't get a job. It means don't stop there. Rich people use their job as a starting point, but always mind their own business on the side. What does that mean? It means building your own asset column, even while you're employed. Start small, invest in assets, build something that's yours. The trap: looking rich versus being rich. Rich Dad warned Robert not to fall into the common trap. People try to look rich instead of actually becoming rich. They buy a bigger house, a nicer car, a fancy watch, but behind the scenes, they're swimming in debt. Their income goes straight to mortgage payments, credit cards, loan EMIs, lifestyle expenses. They're trapped in the illusion of success. Your business is not your job. Here's the mindset shift. Your job is temporary. Your business is your assets. So start asking, am I growing my savings or just spending my salary? Am I buying things that make money or things that cost money? Do I even know what my net worth is? Rich Dad said, don't spend your whole life helping someone else get rich. Start helping yourself get free. Robert's journey. Even when Robert had a full-time job, he used his free time to learn about real estate, buy small rental properties, study investments, build passive income streams. He wasn't waiting for the perfect time. He started with what he had. Bit by bit, he built his own business, not by opening a store, but by acquiring assets. In a nutshell, don't confuse your job with your business. Your real business is your asset. Keep your expenses low and focus on buying income-generating assets. Start small, stay consistent, and grow your financial independence quietly. So ask yourself today, are you only working to make someone else rich? Or are you slowly, patiently, building your own path to freedom? In the next chapter, we dive deeper into a powerful subject, taxes and corporations, and how the rich use them as tools, not traps. Get ready for Chapter 4, where the real financial strategy begins. Chapter 4, the history of taxes and the power of corporations. How the rich use the system to stay rich. Let me ask you something. Do you know why the rich often pay less in taxes, even though they earn more money? It's not because they're cheating. It's because they understand the system better than most people ever bother to. In this chapter, Robert Kiyosaki explains how the rich legally use tax laws and corporations to protect and grow their wealth, while the middle class gets stuck paying the biggest share. Let's break it down. A quick history of taxes. Long ago, only the rich were taxed. Ordinary people didn't pay taxes. Then, governments convinced the working class that it was fair for everyone to pay. They promised the rich would be taxed even more. But here's the twist. When income taxes became permanent, the middle class ended up carrying most of the burden, not the rich. Why? Because the rich learned how to avoid paying more, legally, by understanding the rules of money, the power of corporations. Poor Dad didn't understand corporations. He worked a job, paid his taxes, and spent what was left. Rich Dad, he owned corporations. Here's how they differ. An employee's flow. Earn money, pay taxes, spend what's left. A corporation's flow. Earn money, spend on business expenses, pay taxes on what's left. See the difference? Corporations allow you to deduct expenses before paying taxes. Employees don't get that luxury. So while Poor Dad worked harder and got taxed more, Rich Dad protected his money using legal structures. Taxes as a penalty for the financially unaware, Rich Dad believed. Taxes punish those who earn, but don't learn. If you don't understand how money flows, you lose a lot of it. But if you educate yourself, you gain the power to keep more of your income, invest with protection, multiply your money with less risk. This isn't about being greedy. It's about being financially wise. Robert's turning point. Robert realized early, if he stayed a high-earning employee, he'd always be taxed heavily. But if he became a business owner and investor, he could legally reduce taxes and reinvest more money. So instead of asking, how can I make more money? He asked, how can I keep more of what I earn? And the answer was, learn the rules of money that the rich already know. Examples of legal tax tools the rich use: corporations, LLCs, depreciation on real estate, business expenses, travel, education, tools, passive income taxes, often lower than salary taxes. Poor Dad never taught Robert any of this, but Rich Dad made sure he studied it deeply. In a nutshell, the rich don't hate taxes. They learn how to use tax laws to their advantage. Corporations protect income and offer legal benefits employees don't have. The financially educated understand the system. The uneducated get punished by it. If you want to be rich, study taxes, corporations, and laws. They're tools, not traps. The poor and middle class earn money and watch it vanish in taxes and expenses. The rich build systems, like corporations, that shield their income and grow their wealth. The system isn't broken. It just wasn't built to benefit the uninformed. In the next chapter, we'll explore how the rich don't wait for money. They invent it. Chapter 5. The rich invent money. Lesson 5. Wealth comes from financial intelligence, not luck. Let's start with a powerful truth. Opportunities are all around you, but only the financially educated can actually see them and use them. That's what Rich Dad meant when he told Robert. The rich don't wait for money. They invent it. This chapter isn't about magic tricks. It's about a special kind of intelligence. Financial intelligence, the ability to create wealth using knowledge, creativity, and smart risk-taking. The power of a trained mind. Most people are taught to play it safe, get a steady job, save money, avoid risk. But Rich Dad taught Robert, the biggest risk is being financially uneducated. The rich aren't born with money. They build it by recognizing value before others do, solving problems, investing in things others ignore. It's like seeing a diamond in the dirt, while others walk right past it. The difference between the trained and the trapped. Untrained minds say, I can't afford it. Trained minds ask, how can I afford it? One mindset shuts down your brain. The other activates your creativity. That's the moment you stop waiting for wealth and start inventing it. Financial intelligence. 4 key skills. To invent money, you need 4 money muscles. Accounting, know your numbers. Investing, make your money grow. Understanding markets. Spot trends and opportunities. Law, use tax laws and legal tools wisely. The more you develop these skills, the more money-making ideas you can spot. It's like upgrading from a candle to a spotlight. Suddenly, you see opportunities everywhere. Examples from Robert's life. Robert talks about how he'd often buy a rundown property in a growing neighborhood. He'd fix it up, raise the rent, and watch the value go up. He wasn't gambling. He was calculating risk, using knowledge, and making smart moves. To others, it looked risky. To him, it was strategic wealth building. And here's the best part. Anyone can do this, if they're willing to learn. Rich Dad's golden advice. It's not the smart who get ahead. It's the bold. Money is an idea. If you want more money, start thinking better ideas. The trap of playing it safe. Most people are afraid of making mistakes. But Rich Dad said, failure is part of the process. The most successful people fail the most. The rich aren't afraid to lose money because they trust their ability to make more. But the poor are so afraid of risk, they never even try. And that's the real danger. In a nutshell, opportunities are created, not found. You don't need money to make money. You need financial education and creative thinking. Fear of losing keeps people poor. The rich learn, act, and adapt. Build your financial intelligence, and you'll see wealth in places others overlook. The rich don't wait for a raise. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for luck. They invent wealth by thinking differently, acting boldly, and learning constantly. In the next chapter, we'll explore why the rich work to learn, not just to earn. Chapter 6. Work to learn, not to earn. Build skills that build wealth. Let's begin with a truth that might surprise you. Working for a paycheck will rarely make you rich. But working to learn? That's a whole different game. In this chapter, Robert Kiyosaki shares one of the most life-changing pieces of advice Rich Dad ever gave him. Don't work for money. Work to learn. Because while most people chase job titles and salary bumps, the wealthy chase skills. Skills that help them build and multiply money. The trap of specialization. Poor Dad told Robert, become a specialist. Be the best at one thing. But Rich Dad said, learn a little about a lot. Understand how the whole game works. Why? Because specialists often become employees for life. But generalists, those who understand multiple aspects of money, Business, sales, marketing become entrepreneurs and investors. And that's where wealth lives. Robert's real-life example. Robert had a high-paying job with Xerox, but instead of settling in, he joined a sales department, even though he had zero experience. Why? Because he wanted to learn how to sell, the most important skill in business. He knew that if he could master communication, persuasion, and human psychology, he'd be unstoppable in any business. So, he worked long hours, got rejected a lot. But the skill he gained, priceless. The most valuable skills the rich learn. Sales marketing. If you can't sell, you can't grow. Leadership people management. Wealthy people build teams and systems. Accounting finance. You must know how money flows. Investing. Let money work for you, not just you working for it. Negotiation. Great deals are made in conversation, not contracts. These aren't job skills. These are freedom skills. Why people don't learn new skills. Rich Dad said there are 3 things that stop most people from growing. Arrogance. I already know enough. Fear. What if I fail? Laziness. I'll do it later. But the rich overcome these by staying hungry to learn, even when they're already successful. Robert says, the world is full of talented people who are poor, because talent without financial intelligence is useless. Work with a bigger vision. Instead of asking, how much does this job pay? Start asking, what can I learn here that will make me unstoppable later? Even a boring job can teach you systems, patience, leadership, or resilience, if you're paying attention. The goal is not the salary. The goal is the skill set that leads to financial independence. In a nutshell. Don't just work to survive, work to grow. Chase skills, not salaries. Every job is an opportunity to sharpen your financial intelligence. The more you learn, the more you earn, in every sense. The rich don't work harder than others. They just work smarter by learning skills that multiply wealth. Your goal is not just to get promoted. Your real mission is to become so skilled, so knowledgeable, and so financially smart that you never have to work for money again. In the next section, we'll tackle something even deeper: the emotional blocks that keep most people from becoming wealthy. Chapter 7. Overcoming obstacles. Even after learning about money, assets, liabilities, and businesses, why do most people still struggle financially? The answer lies not in lack of knowledge, but in emotional obstacles. In this chapter, Kiyosaki talks about the 5 main obstacles that stop people from becoming rich. 1. Fear. Fear is the number 1 obstacle. Most people fear losing money, but here's the truth. Everyone loses money, even the rich. It's not about never falling, it's about learning how to fall and get up stronger. Poor Dad would say, avoid risks. Rich Dad would say, learn to manage risk. The difference isn't bravery, it's financial education. Rich Dad taught that the key is not to avoid fear, but to face it, learn from failure, and grow. Thought experiment. Imagine if babies gave up walking after falling once. Would anyone ever walk? 2. Cynicism, doubt and negativity. People are full of doubts. What if I lose money? What if the market crashes? What if I make the wrong investment? These voices, from friends, media, even family, can kill dreams. Rich people don't listen to cynics. They do their own research, trust their education, and take informed risks. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. 3. Laziness. It doesn't always look like lying on the couch. Sometimes, laziness is being too busy with things that don't matter. Poor Dad was always too busy to look at investments or learn about money. Rich Dad would say, if something is important, you make time. Here's a trick Robert shares. Whenever you feel lazy or unmotivated, ask, what's in it for me? This question reignites desire and purpose. 4. Bad habits. Most people develop poor money habits early. Like what? Spending before saving, paying everyone else first, rent, bills, shopping, and if anything's left, maybe saving. Rich Dad taught, Pay yourself first. Save first, then use what's left for expenses. It builds discipline and teaches you to think smarter about how to grow your money. 5. Arrogance, thinking you know everything. When people become overconfident and stop learning, they become blind. Poor Dad was educated, but thought he already knew enough. Rich Dad was always learning, reading, asking questions, especially when he didn't know something. The moment you say, "I know that," your brain shuts down. But if you say, "Teach me more," it opens up. Key lesson. Everyone has fears, doubts, laziness, habits, and ego. But the rich learn to overcome them, not by avoiding, but by facing them with financial intelligence. The difference between the poor, the middle class, and the rich is how they manage their emotions. Fear is natural. Learn to manage, not run. Don't let doubt stop you. Do your own thinking. Laziness is about priorities. Ask what's in it for you. Pay yourself first. Build smart habits. Stay humble. Always be learning. Chapter 8. Getting Started. Your first steps toward financial freedom. In this chapter, Robert Kiyosaki acts like a coach giving you your first push. You've learned the mindset. You've learned about money, assets, liabilities, and business. But now the big question is, where do I begin? Let's break down the exact mindset and actions he suggests you take if you want to begin your journey toward becoming financially free. Not just rich with money, but free in your time, choices, and future. 1. Find a strong reason. Your why, Kiyosaki says before anything else. Find a powerful reason that drives you. This could be wanting to escape the rat race, providing a better life for your kids, retiring early, traveling the world, living without debt. This reason becomes your emotional fuel. When things get tough, and they will, it's your why that will push you through. Thought exercise. Ask yourself right now, why do I want to be rich or financially free? Write it down. Make it personal. 2. Feed your brain first. Poor Dad said, go to school and get a job. Rich Dad said, educate yourself financially. Kiyosaki urges you to read books, attend seminars, listen to podcasts, study real estate, understand the stock market, anything that boosts your financial IQ. Don't rush into investing blindly. Learn first, then act. The more you learn, the more you earn. Warren Buffett, 3. Choose your friends. Carefully, you become the average of the 5 people you hang around most. If they are financially smart, positive, and growth-minded, you will grow. If they are pessimistic, fearful, and broke, you'll stay stuck. Kiyosaki says, don't avoid poor people, but don't take financial advice from them either. Surround yourself with people who push you to grow. 4. Master one formula at a time. You don't have to learn everything about money at once. Pick one financial path, like real estate, stocks, online businesses, and master it. Then move to the next. You'll make mistakes. That's part of the process. But as you learn and improve, your confidence and income will grow. Remember, focus, scatter. 5. Pay yourself first. Before paying bills, debts, or expenses, put a part of your income into investments or savings. This forces you to think creatively and make the rest of your money stretch. It's a mindset shift. Most people pay everyone else first and save last. Rich people pay themselves first, and this builds wealth over time. 6. Pay for advice. It might seem weird to pay someone for help, but rich people do it all the time. Accountants, lawyers, mentors, they save you from big losses and help you grow faster. Think of it as investing in your future. If you had $1 million business, would you trust free YouTube advice or hire a tax expert? Wealthy people pay to avoid mistakes. 7. Buy luxuries. Last, most people buy luxuries first, car, house, gadgets, and then stay broke. Kiyosaki says, buy assets first. Let those assets generate income. Then use that income to buy your luxuries guilt-free. This builds long-term wealth, not just short-term pleasure. 8. Build assets, not paychecks. Kiyosaki reminds you, job income is temporary. Assets, like rental properties, stocks, or businesses, generate money while you sleep. Your job should be a tool to build or buy these assets. The shift is this: don't work for money. Make money work for you. Final words for getting started. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. Kiyosaki wasn't a millionaire overnight. He studied, failed, learned, and kept building. The path to financial freedom is a journey, and it begins with a decision to think differently and act intentionally. Start small, think big, learn fast, fail forward, grow constantly. Ready to build your financial future? Chapter 9. Still want more. Here are some to-dos. So, you've come this far. You now understand the difference between rich thinking and poor thinking. You've learned that working for money keeps you stuck in a cycle. You've learned that building assets, not collecting paychecks, is the key. And now, you're probably wondering, what's next? What can I do starting today? Well, this final chapter is your personal action list. A starter kit to begin your journey toward financial freedom. Robert Kiyosaki calls them to-dos, but they're really to-bes. Because before you do, you need to become the kind of person wealth is attracted to. Let's break it down into simple steps you can start applying in your life today. 1. Start with a strong reason. The power of purpose. You need a strong emotional reason to pursue wealth. Is it because you want to give your family a better life? Do you want to break free from your 9-to-5? Maybe you're tired of being controlled by debt or fear. Whatever it is, make your reason crystal clear. This reason is your fuel. Without a why, you won't survive the how. 2. Choose every day. Be rich or be comfortable. We all make choices every day, to invest time or to waste it, to learn or to coast, to step forward into growth or back into safety. Wealthy people choose to be rich over and over again. You don't just fall into wealth, you commit to it. 3. Master a formula and then learn a new one. Rich people don't just follow one path. They learn and evolve. They master one system of making money and then move on to the next. For example, start with saving and budgeting. Then move to real estate investing. Then stocks, businesses, IP, and so on. Always be a student. Don't stop with one formula. 4. Pay yourself first. Before you pay your rent, your bills, or even taxes, pay yourself first. It may sound impossible at first, especially if your income is tight. But paying yourself first, into your investment or savings account, forces you to be disciplined and creative. It teaches you to manage the rest with what's left. Your wealth is what you keep, not what you earn. 5. Pay your brokers. Well, don't be cheap when it comes to good advice. If a real estate agent, accountant, or broker can help you make thousands, pay them generously. Why? Because rich people build teams. And good advice is an investment, not a cost. 6. Be an Indian giver. Get your money back. In other words, always ask, how do I recover my money? If you invest in a property, a stock, a business, or even a course, think about how you'll get your investment back, ideally with profits. This is how the wealthy think. They expect returns, not just outcomes. 7. Use assets to buy luxuries. Don't use your salary to buy a new car or vacation. Instead, let your assets buy those things. For example, buy a rental property. Use the monthly rent to pay for your dream vacation. That way, the luxury doesn't cost you your freedom. 8. Work to learn, not just to earn. Want to build wealth? Then learn about sales, marketing, investing, accounting, leadership, and people management. Pick jobs or side hustles where you can develop these skills, even if the pay is low at first. Skills last forever. Salaries don't. 9. Don't just listen, do. The world is full of smart people stuck in fear. They read books, attend seminars, and talk about big ideas, but never take action. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Even if it's one small step, Take it today. 10. Find heroes and imitate them. Look up to people who've done what you want to do and study them. Copy their mindset, their habits, their decision-making. Because success leaves clues. 11. Teach and you'll learn more. Want to really understand money? Teach someone else. Talk to your kids, your friends, your family. When you explain financial principles, they sink deeper into your own mind. And the best part, you'll raise the financial IQ of everyone around you. Final thoughts. Getting rich isn't about greed. It's about freedom. It's about gaining control over your time, your choices, and your impact. And it all begins with small, consistent actions. So now ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to become a little bit smarter, bolder, and freer financially? Because this journey doesn't begin in the bank. It begins in your mind. Chapter 10. Still want more. Here are some to-dos. Now that you've gone through all the key lessons and mindset shifts in this book, Robert Kiyosaki wraps things up with actionable to-dos for those who really want to change their financial future. These are not just ideas. They are practical steps to build your wealth journey. 1. Stop doing what you're doing. If you're stuck financially, the first step is pause. Don't keep doing what isn't working. If your current habits aren't bringing wealth, stop and rethink. Look in the mirror and say, what do I need to change in myself first? 2. Look for new ideas. Rich people are constantly learning and seeking better ways. Start reading books, listening to podcasts, attending seminars. Be curious. Ask questions like, what's a smarter way to earn? How can I make my money work harder? 3. Find someone who has done it. Success leaves clues. If someone has already walked the path you want to take, learn from them. Find mentors. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Most rich people enjoy sharing if you're genuinely willing to learn. 4. Take classes. Buy knowledge. Invest in your financial education. Whether it's a short course, a webinar, or a book, the more you know, the more you grow. Rich Dad always said, the best investment is in your mind. 5. Make offers. Don't just wait for the perfect opportunity. Create them. Want to buy a property? Make an offer. Want to start a business? Reach out. Rich people don't sit back. They take calculated risks. You'll learn more by doing, even if you fail sometimes. 6. Think big. Poor Dad always played it safe. Rich Dad taught Robert to dream big and act bold. Don't just think about getting a job. Think about building something, owning assets, creating systems. 7. Learn from history. Financial booms and busts come and go. Real estate rises and falls. Stocks go up and down. But those who study history can predict trends and avoid mistakes. Keep your eyes on the big picture. 8. Take action. This is the most important point. Stop only reading or thinking. Start doing. Whether it's buying a small stock, starting a side hustle, or learning about taxes, just start. Kiyosaki says, there are a million ways to make $1 million, but you must take the first step. Final words. At the end of the day, financial freedom is not just about money. It's about mindset, discipline, courage, and action. You don't need to be born rich. You just need to think like the rich. So, if you still want more, don't wait for permission. Start now. Start small, but start smart. Thank you for listening to this summary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Your journey to financial freedom begins now.